Welcome to our Goat Nutrition and LINC workshop. In the nature, goats are selecting and eating various tree leaves, grasses, legumes, roots, and even tree barks to meet their needs. When you start keeping goats, you have all the responsibilities to select feedstuffs and feed them to meet their nutrient requirements, and also to keep them healthy, productive, and in some cases, profitable. Required nutrients for goats are the same as for us humans: carbohydrates, protein, fat, minerals, vitamins, and water. However, they are ruminants, herbivores. They only eat plants. So, we need to consider well-balanced nutrition for them using different plant materials. I'm sure that participants here today are interested in proper feeding for goats. When we talk about proper nutrition for goats, we need to consider two aspects. One is nutrient requirements, and the other is diet. Nutrient requirements involve nutrients such as energy, protein, minerals, and amount, namely feed intake. These nutrients and amount requirements largely varied by age, weight, production level, as well as individuals. For the diet, you need to consider your available feedstuffs. Probably you have pastures, forages like hay or silage, supplemental concentrates, mineral supplements. At the same time, you may need to think about the cost you can put into the diet, especially those who have commercial farms. For example, if you are a hobby farmer or raising show goats, then you may not need to consider too much about the cost of feed. But if you are a commercial meat or milk producer, since feed is the biggest portion of the cost, it would be crucial to optimize the feed cost to achieve better production and profitability. However, to achieve proper nutrition for goats, it requires many calculations and proper understanding of small ruminant nutrition. Here, I am going to introduce today is the Langston Interactive Nutrient Calculation System, which is abbreviated as LINC, a tool for proper diet estimation for your goats. This picture is the famous flowchart that shows the dynamics of energy and protein in small ruminants, which was developed in a nutrient simulation model study by Drs. Blackburn and Cartwright in 1987. LINC is a free web-based nutrient calculation system at this URL. This was developed in 1998 to 2003 by the USDA-funded capacity building project, namely Nutrient Requirements of Goats. When you go to the URL, this is how it looks like as the current version of the LINC. This calculation system is based on science. The equations used are from publications, the special issue of Small Ruminant Research entitled Nutrient Requirements of Goats in 2004, which was a great achievement of our institute, American Institute for Goat Research, Langston University. Also, these equations are the base of the nutrient requirements of small ruminants, National Research Council, NRC 2007. Here is the current project of the LINC 2.0. Since it's been over 15 years after the LINC was developed, we are conducting this project to enhance this system through updating detailed features of the system, incorporating recent research findings, adding more options for different management settings and conditions, as well as modifying user-friendly operations. That means the results you will get from this current LINC and this new version are basically the same, but it's easier to use and you can find more options. In addition to that, we are also developing the LINC system equipped with mobile servers using small Raspberry Pi computers. What this does is, this creates its own network to provide access to tablets, phones, and laptops using solar power. Okay, I said that LINC is accessible through internet at no cost, right? If you are living in the US or another developed country where it has stable electricity and Wi-Fi, then you may not need this. However, if you are in a developing country where there is no stable electricity or internet, you can still use the system using solar power and network that this small computer creates. Remember, goats are very important livestock in developing countries. Okay, here is how the new LINC looks like. There are a producer version and a professional version. Previously was technical version. Let's see the actual LINC. This is the first page of the new LINC. As you can see here, it said 192.168.4.1. This is the address that small mobile server provides. So I'm just now connecting to the mobile server. There is a library where you can find technical bulletins, handbooks, and videos. Nutrient requirement calculators are here. At the bottom, you can see the same flow chart what we saw in my slide. Here is producer version calculator and professional version calculator. These calculators give you exactly same results. However, producer version is much simpler, easier to use. At the same time, the information you can get is very limited. So we are here to learn how to use professional version calculator. We are all professional goat producers, so let's click this professional version calculator. Click. So introduction page has some pictures and background information, how this was developed, and briefly how to use it, and some limitations too. So here, JavaScript and the cookies are enabled, it says. I know it's kind of annoying recently. Each website you go, you visit, and then it says please accept cookies, right? So this cookie, what this cookies do is the storage of your input in your browser. So that means you can utilize the same information previously you used. So if you use different calculators and you need to put same input, you have same inputs, then these calculators remember your inputs. So please enable. We don't have any access to your input, so we are not collecting any data from you. And the calculation system uses JavaScript. So please enable both. And these are calculators. Each green has calculators. We will go over some of them, and I will introduce each group of calculators later. Here on the bottom, there is a list of abbreviations, and the very at the bottom there is a return to home page button. So as we see on the professional version, there is an abbreviation table on the first page, and all the pages in the LINC have return to home page button at the bottom. So if you're stuck somewhere, just go to the bottom of the page and hit this button, then you come back to this first page. Here is the abbreviation table, but the LINC uses. ADG is average daily gain, BW, body weight, CP, crude protein, DIP, rumen degraded intake protein, DM, dry matter, ME, metabolizable energy, MP, metabolizable protein, TDN, total digestible nutrients, UIP, rumen degraded intake protein. LINC also has converters. If you are more familiar with the English system, like in pounds, then you can convert it to the metric system, like in kilos. Also, some LINC calculators have inputs of ME, but if you are familiar with TDN over ME, you can use this converter. You can always find these converters whenever you need it. So as we saw, the professional version has 6 groups of calculators. One is energy requirements, 2 protein requirements, 3 energy and protein requirements, 4 energy requirement adjustments, 5 feed intake, 6 diet formulation. Okay, let's get started. So example, I have this beautiful alpine doe. So this biotype is dairy. She is female and her body weight is 40 kilograms, which is 88 pounds. Then she is mature doe, so I'm not expecting daily gain. So average daily gain, I just set 0 gram. And what I have, what I have is TDN concentration of 65%. Let's see which calculator I need to use for my dough. There are 4 calculators in energy requirement. It says suckling goat, growing goat, mature goat, and lactation of goat. Obviously, my dough is not suckling or growing, but my dough is dairy dough. So which one I need to use? Number 3 says non-lactating. So my dough is early pregnancy, but I already stopped milking, so she is not lactating, not producing milk. So I want to choose number 3. If you have goat with lactating, nursing a baby, then you want to choose number 4. Okay, let's make it clear. If you want to calculate energy requirements of any mature goats, any biotype, meat, dairy, local, then who is not lactating, then you want to choose number 3. If you have any type of mature goats, those who is nursing baby, producing milk, you're milking, then you want to choose number 4. Okay, let's calculate energy requirements for my dough. Let's go to professional version calculator again. And here's the energy. So we know we need to use number 3 for my goat. Metabolizable energy, ME requirement for mature goats. Okay, click. Okay, so we can see some pictures of mature goats. Then there is example. This example is a little bit different from my example, but we just use my example today. Okay, number 1, choose biotype of the goat. My goat is dairy, so just use this one. Choose gender of goat, female. Yeah, female. Yes, if you have male, you just change the bottom. Click the bottom. Enter body weight. My goat was 40 kilos. Here, if you are not familiar with the kilos metric English system, then you can convert it here. Like, so for example, I just make it blank here. Then yeah, if you make it empty, then it says not a valid number. Please enter the numeric value. But okay, I said 88 pounds, right? 88 pounds and convert, then 40. Yep. So average daily gain is 0, and my dietary ME concentration was, I don't know ME concentration, but if you can find this one, enter TDN. I remember my food, my dietary TDN concentration was 65%. And convert. Okay, 9.82 megajoule. Yep, it's already there. So, and number 6, grazing factor. If it's optional, if you are grazing animals, then the goat is grazed, maybe you can use this one. This considers grazing activity, the energy used for activity. And number 7, body condition score factor. This is again option. Acclimatization factor, it's again optional. And gestation energy. It says last 56 days of gestation. So my goats are still early stage of the gestation, so we just put 0. Okay, enter DM in diet. I'm not sure about this one, so it's already here, so I just use this one. Okay, then calculate energy requirement. Boop. Click. Then you see the bottom. Okay, you got the result, look like. This is the result we just got. From the top, ME requirement for maintenance, 7.97 megajoule. Dietary ME used for maintenance, it's the same as above. ME requirement for gain is 0. So because we did not put any gain weight, average daily gain was 0, so energy was not used for gain. Dietary ME used for maintenance and gain, so it's the same as maintenance. ME requirement for gestation. I said my dough is early pregnancy, so during the early pregnancy period, the energy is not used so much, so it's just 0. This is happen only later gestation, after 100 days of pregnancy. So here, total dietary ME requirement. In this case, 7.97, just energy was only used for maintenance. Okay, I'm not sure what about ME requirement, but this is the amount of energy they need. So we talk about ME later, but how we can feed from this one. In here, it says dry matter intake for dietary ME requirement and as fed intake for dietary ME requirement. It says kilogram and percent, right? So we talk about feed intake, the amount they need to eat, right? So this is the amount what they need, but dry matter or as fed, which we need to refer. Dry matter is weight of feeds excluding water. For example, fresh forages contain 70 to 80% of water. Instead, concentrate contain less than 20% of water. If you can imagine the sponge where the full of water, it's heavy, right? But if once you squeeze the water out, then sponge is pretty light. But the nutrients, water is also nutrition, but water does not contain any nutrients. So what we need to know is the concentration of nutrients, right? So we need, when we talk about this nutrient calculation, we always need to use dry matter. On the other hand, as fed is including moisture. So that means this is the form of feeds you actually feed goats. So we know now when we feed animals, actually, we need this as fed numbers. So my dog need to eat 0.9 kilograms every day, or 1.99 pounds a day, which is 2.26% of body weight. Wait, we did not put any dry matter or how much moisture my feed has, right? So let's go back to input. So input table, on the bottom, number 10, it says enter percentage DM in diet. And in the parentheses, it says default is 90%. So this default value, 90%, is good if you are giving hay, feeding them hay or concentrates. But if you are feeding fresh forages or silages, it may not be accurate. Let's see the example. Let's say if I'm giving fresh alfalfa, that dry matter without excluding water is only 24%. So I put 24 in here. Then let's see the result. Here is a difference of the results of 24% for dry matter and 90% of dry matter. The values are all exactly the same till dry matter intake, but the bottom as fed intake, because this is a difference of water, moisture, the weight of water, right? So as fed intake is this much different. If 90% is the dry matter, hay or concentrates, I just feed them 0.9 kilograms. But I only feed fresh alfalfa, then I need to feed her 3.38 kilograms. That's a lot. So feeding almost 8.5% of body weight may not be practical, so you want to add some concentrate or dry hay or something. So we've been talking about metabolizable energy, ME, right? What was ME? Let's see. This is the flow of energy. Gross energy is total energy of the feedstuffs. But this all energy, total energy, will not be utilized by animal, so we need to consider all those unutilized energy. The biggest one is fecal energy. Poop has energy too, right? So we subtract this fecal energy from gross energy. That is, we call it digestible energy. God can digest. But from this digestible energy, there are some loss of energy in urine and methane gas. So we remove those, we consider that those energy, then now metabolizable energy. This is the actual energy what God can utilize for maintenance and production. Okay, all the energy feed stuff has, total energy is 100%. So how much energy is lost for fecal and urine and methane gas? Fecal energy is 40% to 50% if you are feeding foliage-based diet, and 20 to 30% if you are feeding more concentrate-based diet. Loss in urine is pretty stable, 4 to 5%, and methane gas has 6 to 10% of energy of total. So this is also depending on the quality of foliage. So basically, idea is more than 50% of energy of feedstuff is not utilized by goats. So metabolizable energy, ME, was digestible energy minus energy of urine and methane gas. This was used for maintenance, that includes metabolism and activity, and production, that includes gain, muscle gain, fat gain, lactation, pregnancy, and mohair or hair, cashmere. So we are familiar with TDN, but not so much ME. Then what was TDN? TDN was total digestible nutrients, which is the sum of digestible protein, carbohydrate, and fat. Since fat has higher energy content, so we multiply by 2.25. So this is the amount of nutrients, total digestible nutrients. So this ME and TDN is convertible for typical feedstuffs. Some are not pretty close to this equation, converted pretty well, but typical feedstuff is converted to using this equation or these equations for ME, megajoule to TDN or megacalorie to TDN. So for human beings, we use kilocalorie, right, for our food. I don't know why animal science use joules for nutrition or energy by unit, but that's their use, right? But 1 kilocalorie is equivalent to 4.184 joules. Just give you an idea what ME and TDN. High nutrient feed is more than 60% of TDN, which is 270 calories per 100 grams. And less nutrient feed is less than 50% of TDN. That is 180 calories per 100 grams. This LINC has also feed table, which include 100 concentrate feedstuffs, more than 105 forages, minerals, vitamins, and additives. So you can refer that if you need to know CP percent or TDN or UIP. Okay, let's take a break here. Welcome back, everyone. In this hour, we are going to learn how to use protein requirement calculators. As we saw, we learned in energy requirement calculators, protein calculator group has 5 different calculators. So number 1 is growing goats, number 2 mature goats, and number 3 is lactation goats. Okay, we know we need to choose number 2 for my goat, but this protein requirement calculators have number 4 ruminal availability of crude protein and number 5 metabolizable protein intake based on estimates of ruminally undegraded protein and microbial protein synthesis. So this number 4 and number 5 will give you the results a little bit more detailed information how the protein is utilized by goats. We are going to use the same example as we used at the Mlp requirement calculator. Biotype is daily, gender is female, body weight is 40 kilograms or 88 pounds, average daily gain 0 gram, dietary TDN concentration was 65%, and this protein requirement calculators, we need to know how much protein the feed has. So dietary CP concentration is 12%. Okay, let's use the calculator and try it. We are here again, connected to a small mobile server and professional version calculator. Go down, then find the protein. So we know we need to choose this number 2 calculator, protein calculator. Click. So it has different pictures, and we again use my example. So we know how to use this one. Enter body weight 40 kilograms and average daily gain 0. As expected DM intake, we kind of remember in the what result we got from Mlp requirement calculators, but we can again use these 2 calculators inside here in this calculator and to calculate it. Okay, so new page, new tab opens, and here some inputs are already here. So this is how cookies work, right? So we first page we use 40 kilos, average daily gain 0. This information is already input here. So number 3 is enter dietary CP concentration. Yes, we know this was 12. Then Mlp concentration, it says 10, but I know this was different. This 10 is initial value, so like it's average, kind of average MEA concentration, but I know my feed TDN is 65%, so I again use this converter, convert, and 9.82. That wasn't too far, but it's I want to use this one. Okay. So it says number 5 says optional feed intake requirements increase in late pregnancy, 95 to 150 days pregnant. So again, my goal is early pregnancy, so it's just 0. Calculate feed intake, click. Then, okay, we see here predicted DM intake, okay, predicted ME intake, predicted DM intake, and the DM intake percent body weight is 1.95%. DM intake in kilo was 0.78 per kilograms. Okay, close the window. Then, oh, it's already here, 1.95 kilograms. And number 4, gestation protein requirement, that was 0. So then now all the inputs are ready. So let's calculate protein requirement. Click. Here is the result. Okay, let's see the result one by one. This is what we got. DM intake, dry matter intake was 0.78 kilograms. Metabolic fecal MP was 20.83 grams. This fecal MP is protein that excreted as feces, so not utilized. Endogenous urinary MP, this is got utilized, recycles protein source through urine, so we need to consider this amount, was 16.4 grams. And scarf MP, what is scarf? Is kind of like flake of skin, just like dandruff, was in 1.83 grams. This sum is the MLP requirement for maintenance. These 3 things are essential to maintain their protein level. And dietary MLP used for maintenance was the same as requirement. MLP requirement for gain, we did not put any gain, so it was 0. MLP requirement for gestation, we didn't put this one also, it was 0. So total dietary MLP requirement was the same as maintenance requirement, so 39.06 gram, which is total dietary MLP requirement 5.01%. We also get this results on the bottom. Total dietary CP requirement, diet with 20% UIP and 80% DIP. Diet with 40% UIP and 60% DIP. 60% UIP and 40% DIP. And also percent of the percentage. So UIP in abbreviation table was undegraded intake protein. So undegraded intake protein is not utilized in the rumen. So DIP is degraded intake protein. So it is used in the rumen. So as you can see, if this DIP is more, then they need more protein from diet, right? So because bacteria in the rumen, you use this protein more with the higher DIP, so they need more protein. We will talk about the flow of protein a little bit later, so that you may get better understanding of this kind of complicated thing. Yeah, actually, protein flow in small ruminant or ruminants, especially goats, are a little bit more complicated. So where we can find this UIP? Again, we have this feed table, and this feed table has UIP %. So you can refer it. Let's learn a little bit about protein. As I said, protein, two different protein we need to consider for small ruminants nutrition. Degradable intake protein, DIP, and UIP, undegradable protein intake protein. So degradable intake protein is easily degraded in the rumen, available for microbes in the rumen. The microbes in the rumen use this type of protein. On the other hand, this UIP, undegradable intake protein, is so-called bypass protein. Maybe this sounds familiar for some people. It's not digested by the microbes in the rumen, so just directly go to the abomasum and utilize as we utilize protein. So to understand this, let's see a little bit about anatomy of their digestive system. So this is parts of the ruminant stomach. From the mouth through the esophagus, they connected to reticulum. Rumen is a big portion, almost 70% of this big stomach chamber were covered by rumen, and the omasum and abomasum. Rumen, what rumen? We talk about this chamber, right? So rumen, what rumen is? Rumen is a house of billions of microorganisms or microbes, which include protozoa, fungi, and bacteria. So this is a fermented chamber that microorganism breaks down and synthesize the plant materials. This function enables goats to utilize only plant materials to produce protein. So this rumen is a great condition for fermentation. pH is very mild, 5.5 to 72. Temperature is 100.4. Sounds familiar? That is the temperature of coronavirus, right? To 107.6 degree Fahrenheit. And this rumen absorbs volatile fatty acid, BFA. So this is the main source of energy for goat. Reticulum is a direct connection to esophagus. So mouth, esophagus, and reticulum. And this works as together with the rumen and orchestrates the digestive system. It's kind of neat. What reticulum does is it mixes the feed and sends feed to the rumen and sends to the mouth, sends feed to the mouth for rumination. You can see the chewing cud, right? And moves digester to omasum and removes gas via the mouth. So reticulum works a lot in the rumen. Omasum is the next chamber after reticulum. Then this absorbs water, electrolytes, VFA, and minerals. Abomasum is the true stomach. The fourth chamber is true stomach, like function as similar function to the human stomach. It has this produces gastric juices, which is high, very acidic, pH 2.0. So, and these enzymes and acid break down, feed for further digestion and absorption in the small intestine. Small intestine breaks down of nutrients like protein to amino acid, fat, fatty acid, starch, sugar, and absorption of nutrients. And those nutrients goes to blood and lymph. Large intestine absorbs water, minerals, ammonia, and vitamins. And undigested feed is excreted in feces through colon. However, suckling kids and lungs are a little bit different because they only drink mom's milk, right? Or milk replacer. So they don't need to utilize those plant materials. So their rumen is not developed. Newly born kids and lambs, they have big abomasum and very small rumen. But this is very nice system. At the end of esophagus, at the between the connection between esophagus and reticulum, there is a kind of groove which directs milk directly goes to brings to abomasum instead of lumen. So milk directly goes to the abomasum. And lumen for these kids develops with forage ingestion. That means around a weaning period, when they start eating some forage, then lumen start developing. So it's very, very important when during the weaning period, they need to eat lots of forage. They have to expose. If you're only giving concentrates, then the lumen does not develop enough. And also, if you are giving milk through bucket, you're like bucket feeding, then those kids may have problem during the weaning period. Small babies are okay, but during this weaning period, they start eating forages. Then the lumen develops. Then when they drink water goes to lumen, right? But when they drink milk as a water, just like same way as water, not suckling, not from the nipple, but just from the bucket, then that milk may go to the lumen. Then lumen is not ready for that highly concentrated nutrient yet. They are only for low nutrient concentrated forage, right? So they may have sometimes it causes of the bloat. So just be careful with this. Okay, so basically for mature animals, mature goats, microbes digest plant materials, right? But what goat does now? Goats maintain ruminal environment through producing lots of saliva that is a buffer agents against acidity. And they chew and cut, chewing the cud and ruminate. That is mechanical breakdown of the plant materials. and expel gas so that rumen can maintain its environment. So the basic idea of goat digestion system is goats feed microbes. Goats feed grasses, plants, then that is feeding microbes. In the stomach chambers, in the rumen, microbes ferment those plant materials, producing energy for goats, so microbes feed the goats. And those gases produced through the fermentation was expelled through the mouth. So goats feed microbes, microbes feed goats. This is the flow of protein. It looks complicated, right? It is complicated. You probably don't need to understand everything, but I want you to understand some of protein flows. Protein in feed goes to the rumen and utilized by microbes. Using this protein source, microbes reproduce themselves. And these microbes is the main source of protein for goats. Microbes flush away to the abomasum, then it's going to be source of protein. But some protein in the feed will not be utilized by microbes in the rumen and escapes to abomasum and broken down by the enzymes and the acid. So those broken down protein amino acids go to the liver, become ammonia and urea, broke down, and eventually excreted as a urine. However, in goats, before excreted urine, some of protein source will come back to rumen through saliva. So this is a goat's recycle system of protein source for goats. And this protein utilized by microbes is degraded intake protein. And those escaped protein is called undegraded intake protein. Okay, let's see other calculators. Here are energy and protein requirements for Angora goats and late gestation or pregnancy. The days 95 to 150. Let's see this gestation requirement. Here is another example. I have another goat, another doe, who is in late pregnancy. Expected birth weight per kid is 3 kilograms because she is alpine doe. And she is in gestation of 140 days. And we conducted ultrasound last time, see the echo, and we know she has two kids. Let's calculate. Again, we have here. Let's go to professional version and find E and MP calculators. So here we go. We found the metabolizable energy and metabolizable protein for late gestation. Okay, click. Nice big moms, big tummy moms. Okay, number 1, enter birth weight per kid was 3 kilograms, 3.0. Days day of gestation was 140 days, and we know number of kids too, right? So calculate. Then we see ME requirement, and we are able to calculate ME requirement and CP requirement together. This is a graph of Mlp requirements for pregnancy. There are 3 trimesters. The first trimester, they do not require lots of Mlp, protein, or even energy for pregnancy. But last trimester, as you can see, requirement increase every day so drastically. Those who had a baby, the woman who had a baby, who had kids before, you have experience, right? The last trimester, fetus grows so fast. So especially those twins and triplets requires much more energy and protein at the last trimester. So that means you really need to consider how to feed them during this period, because, as I said, rumen is the biggest chamber of the body or stomach, and that is the key to utilize nutrients and produce energy and protein for goats. But this last trimester, fetus is growing so fast, and there is a conflict or a competition of the area between fetus and the rumen, right? So because mom's tummy cannot grow so much, they need to share the space. But if you are feeding goats low nutrient feed, then they may not get or produce enough energy for female mom, for mom, then they can get pregnancy toxemia, right? And also, if the goat, the females, the moms or females are fat before pregnancy, then during pregnancy, that fat, internal fat, is also competing the space of fetus and rumen, so the risk of pregnancy toxemia is higher. So this is very important, and it is valuable to know. So let's add our calculators. We have energy requirement adjustment for grazing, acclimatization, and body condition score. Feed intake for lactating goats, Angora goats, mature goats, and growing goats. And diet formulation. Number 1, estimating supplemental concentrate needs. Number 2, calcium and phosphorus requirements. Using this calculator, you can estimate also mineral needs. Number 3, total mixed ration calculator. I'm going to quickly introduce this estimating supplement concentrate needs, because many of you are probably wondering how much concentrate you can give. Let's go. Okay, let's go to professional version calculator, and diet formulation. Here we go. Estimating supplemental concentrate needs. So let's go through, and oh, here is a table. Oh wow, that's a lot, right? So that here you can show and hide the feeding table, and you just want to calculate, then you can show and hide. You can hide all the text too. So here we go. We just used the first example, mature goat, and body weight was 40 kilos, and daily gain was 0. And here, ME calculator is, you can jump to ME calculator, opening the new tab, and you can go through ME calculator, just like we did. So daily female 40 kilo, daily gain 0. It's stored by cookie, and dietary ME concentration was 65% of TDN. Convert, and we just leave this optional as it is. Calculate energy requirement. It calculated, and close window. Then ME requirement is calculated here. Mlp requirement, you can use MP calculator, and 40 biotype daily, and average daily gain 0, and expected DM intake. Jump to feed intake calculator. Dietary CP concentration was 12%. Dietary ME was 65% TDN. Convert. And this gestation is optional, so I just leave it blank. Early gestation. Calculate feed intake. It's there, and close window. So this is here, and we just leave this gestation information as a default. Then calculate protein requirement. Click. So here is the result. Then for protein requirement, then close the window. So now enter the estimate of intake of forage without supplementation. So we already used FY calculator, feed intake calculator. The value is here. Forage ME concentration is already here. Then now number 8 is supplemental concentrate ME concentration. So I know my concentrate ME concentration is 12, and ME CP concentration in forage. My forage have 7% of CP. Then my supplement has 20% of CP. Then we just leave this UIP values as it is, dry matter as it is. We just use default values. Then this lots of things you can calculate. This is lots of information, right? Then on the bottom you can see optimal supplemental concentrate ME, TDN, MP, CP concentrations. So this gives you a lot of information here. So far, we have learned how to use the LINC system, how the flow of energy and protein briefly. However, this nutrient requirement calculation may not always reflect the condition of goats. So how we can assess dietary adequacy of goat? So there is an easy way of assessment, which is body condition score. Body condition score is very simple first method. It is measurement of nutritional status ranging 1 to 5. 1 is skinny, 5 is obesity, and the optimal body condition score is between 2.5 and 3.5. I personally prefer a little bit skinny 2.5 range for goats, but probably if you have show animals, you may want to have 3.5 body condition score. If body condition score is more than 4.5, it increases risk of pregnancy toxemia. And if body condition score is less than 2.0, probably low productivity, low immune systems, and not very healthy. How is body condition score done? Number 1, let the goat stand on the flat surface and feel the loin area for muscle and fat cover. Then feel the rib area for flesh and fat between and over the ribs. Then feel the chest pad also between the front legs for fat. Here is body condition score 1, extremely thin. The loin area is concave. Body condition score 2 is thin. Little muscle and fat can be felt. Body condition score 3 is ideal. Very smooth, but bones still can be felt. Body condition score 4, chunky. Individual bones are difficult to feel. Body condition score 5 is obese. Very rounded loin. Bones cannot be felt. So, as I said, it increases the risk of pregnancy toxemia, and you want to maintain a little bit lower body condition score for goats. So, thank you very much for listening to this presentation. I hope you enjoy and learn something from this presentation. If you have any questions, you can email me at this yoko.tsukahara@langston.edu address. Then I'm happy to answer the questions. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye-bye.